Hello, name's Adam. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today we'll be making The Binding of Isaac character tier list with all the characters currently in the game with the Repentance DLC, or rather all DLCs at once. I'm not sure how the game is sold nowadays. But first, a very long preface regarding the background of this tier list. Most importantly, I do not intend to make more T-Boy content on this channel. I simply hold deep feelings regarding the game, and I look passionate back to my time playing it. I'm not even currently playing it, even in private, let alone on this channel. Secondly, I want to contribute to the community that I have been a part of for a very long time and quite active in. I love hearing people out on their opinions. I love watching tier lists for that reason, and pretty much that reason alone, on things that I look at passionately. Isaac is definitely one of those games, even though I do not actually play it like at all right now anymore, or have lately. That includes probably the last 2 years or so. I want to give my somewhat refined opinion on this game. I feel like I am capable of doing that, and I think it would be quite fun. Thirdly, I suppose, I have about 800 hours of experience playing AB+, most of which in single player, unlocking everything from scratch, most of which without mods or anything that breaks the game. I have played a ton of daily challenges, I have completed all the base game challenges, I've completed all the base game content that includes Rebirth, Antibirth and Afterbirth, plus for a single save file. That is, in case you're curious, I don't really want to play multiple save files all at once. I have played about 100 hours of multiplayer with a dedicated partner in AB+. I've played with all kinds of mods. I got to actually play the game using things like Platinum Guard and external wikis before actually getting into modding, which I stuck with for the longest time, probably 400 to 500 hours straight up without ever looking the external item descriptions mod, which is absolutely insane in hindsight, especially with Repentance in mind, but hey, that's how I used to play the game. I've played with all kinds of other mods, such as the Slav mods, the Pokemon mods, custom characters, Mario mods, all kinds of visual changes, sound changes, Zelda bombs, and all the good stuff. You probably know them, you probably love them. One of which you can see on screen right now, because all these characters by default, they are not colored, and I absolutely love this mod. I adore this mod, and I think everyone should use it. I think this should be de facto the default color scheme for the characters in the game. So I have plenty of experience in that corner. I have also watched a ton of Huts, a ton of Sinvicta. I have followed the Sinvicta streams for a very long time, a ton of extra Twitch content from all kinds of people that have played for a long time, other veterans that have probably played for way longer than I have. So I've also been active in that corner. I have watched all tier lists out there, even from Northern Line and whatnot. What was it, like a 6-hour item tier list of all the items and whatnot, multiple times. So I have acquired a fair share of AB+ experience. My personal favorite game mode is Greedier. That may be a red flag to some people. I don't care, I love that game mode. In AB+, you could easily break the game. Nowadays in Repentance, things look a little more different and the game makes work a little different, but in AB+, you could religiously break the game, and that was one way to win over and over and over again and replicate wins for certain characters using the remote and whatnot, and Greedier, the D20. I'm sure you know, I'm sure you've heard what I'm talking about. I have additionally acquired about 500 hours playing Repentance almost exclusively in local co-op multiplayer. I have played about 400 of those in multiplayer. So I get about 1,300 hours under my belt. I have met my partner playing this game in AB+ back in the days and showed her how to break the game and whatnot, and we have played Repentance pretty much entirely together since, and absolutely loved it and found honor and glory and love for new characters. It was beautiful. I don't really play the game anymore, I still love it though, like I said in the beginning. And I feel like I can give a pretty good take here. I'm only missing a few check marks in Repentance. Some of the more notable characters that I lack experience at. Number one, it's not even close, Tainted Jacob, because I've only, like at the very end of my The Binding of Isaac playtime, started playing him. And I've never really gotten too warm, especially in multiplayer. I haven't played too much of Tainted Lost either, which may be surprising to some people. This is a very beloved character, I feel, amongst veterans. And I would say Jacob and Esau, or Tainted Cain, I also like experience, although I've completed basically all the Jacob and Esau. Checkmarks, I'm only missing, what was it? I think I'm only missing Hush at this point. I just don't really ever go back and voluntarily play the character. Same for Tainted Cain, although I really love the gimmick. It just takes way too long to play Tainted Cain run, man. And I'm still missing Boss Run, I'm still missing Hush on him. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I think I'm also missing Delirium, I'm not sure. I think I actually got Delirium. Regardless, I've played most of the characters for the most amount of time. In multiplayer, I didn't get carried, okay? I was the carry. I played all the characters, and I usually play with my partner who plays at max 3 different characters, being Maggy, Azazel, and Bethany. Tainted Bethany, that is. So, yeah, I feel with all that out of the way, I can convey a pretty decent point of view coming from a modest amount of experience. I know there's absolute crank people out there. For the average player, 1,000+ hours is already way more than they would probably ever play the game for. I feel like with Isaac, it's an above average game. People play like hundreds of hours, like 400, 500 hours. Even people that otherwise wouldn't with most games, that would only play for like 10, 20, maybe 100 hours. But the crack people out there, the actual veterans, I wouldn't really consider myself a veteran. I have like 2,000, 3,000+ hours, sometimes tens of thousands of hours, plural. It's absolutely insane. I'm not one of those, but I feel like I can... I feel like I got some pretty interesting takes, regardless. For the tier list scheme, we have a fairly default looking one. At the very top, we have the dreaded S tier, reserved for only the best of the best, the creme de la creme, the universally good and awesome. We love to see these. These go with everything like a fine wine. Followed up by the A tier for the above average, the good and the great. Followed up by the B tier, which is anything remotely considered decent or quite average. C tier is a little bit lackluster, below average or meh, if you like short terms. And then finally, D tier is for anything that is considered to be of poor quality that you wouldn't want to get your hands on, generally speaking, or that has quite a niche to fill. Let's leave it at that. Additionally, I added an I don't know tier for anything that I lack the personal experience of giving my refined opinion on, or anything that I simply do not use whatsoever and therefore I don't have an opinion on. I may or may not state an opinion here occasionally, however, it is merely a guess and not one coming from a great amount of experience. That having been said, with all that out of the way, I'd say, let's get started. Let's start things off with Isaac. Isaac, the poster child of the Binding of Isaac, the main character, and actually, basically the default dummy model for all the other characters. Every single character, generally speaking, the characters that don't work in very unique and quirky ways, like Forgot, for example, is just Isaac plus or minus some of the base stats. Plus or minus the starter bomb, plus or minus an active item, a pill, and whatnot. So Isaac is the de facto standard character, he's the poster child, he's the most iconic. I mean, his face is quite literally a Twitch emote, which is extremely well known. This character is glorious canonically. In-game, assuming that you do not have the starting gear for him, which is the D6, I feel like he's fairly middle of the pack. He's quite decent by the very definition. He's got okay stats. He starts off with a bomb, so you can do Mom's Shovel to unlock Forgotten. You can kill the first boss if it's Duke of Flies very quickly, or even if it's the Gurglings, depending on their formation. You can try and train yourself to find secret or super secret rooms, which if you're a new player and you already know that these exist, as a matter of fact, on every single floor, mad props to you. I didn't know for like the first 70 hours or so. I just found more and more of them by accident and then just actually started scouring for them. Isaac is very helpful to a new player, I feel. He's not super straight, doesn't keep you alive very well, but that one bomb is actually super useful. It can give you a huge advantage. The base stats means that you never have a horrible time at the beginning. It's only certain items like Soul Milk, for example, when you pick them up at the beginning of your run that can make you feel horrible, but also that's a great way of learning about what items are good when and when you absolutely shouldn't take them. such as the aforementioned soy milk, for example. I mean, shenanigans, right? Now, when you have the D6 unlocked, this character is just the same character, but like 10x. It's 10x as beautiful, it's 10x as iconic. This is S tier. No doubt in my mind, this character is top 5 most fun characters in the game, objectively. This is not just me, this is not a personal hot take or anything. This character is just simply fun. It's got good base stats, it's got a bomb for flexibility, and it's got the ultimate flexible active item, which, in my personal opinion, are also the coolest kinds of item in the game. Active items just have super cool effects, but D6 can turn any run into something beautiful and amazing. You can also very strategically use it for certain item pools, such as the boss item pool, just a regular item pool, the super secret item pool, or the angel room item pool. Whatever you are looking for, you can probably eventually find it just using your D6 in a smart manner. Use it whenever it's active, track how many rooms will be ahead of you, predict, use batteries wisely, keep rerolling items that are meh or that are pretty bad, because chances are you will find something that is better eventually, even if it's just a health up that's generally better than the vast amount of bad items in the game. There are a ton of items in this game, and most of them are at the very bottom of the line, decent, and therefore better than something that is actually bad. If you find a bulb sprain, for example, one of the less user-friendly items in the game, and one that I've personally used a shitload, and I can report that new players have great struggle using this item, not killing themselves constantly, paying attention to this, paying attention to when it's back up, and not just flinging it whenever it comes back up by accident. So Bob Sprain, you can't deal with it yet, you don't care about the transformation, yeet it. It's fine, you'll probably get something better. And if not, that's no biggie. You might drop a battery at some point, or nowadays like a half battery, or a double battery, or whatever the name may be, or Giga Battery, whatever the names may be, man. I don't know the names for the new collectibles. And return later. Just leave it there. Leave the pedestal there. You don't need to take every item you find, especially if it's a detriment to your run overall. This can also reroll into fantastic items like the, tier 4 items like Pyromaniac, Dr. Feeder's Epic Feeders, and whatnot. It's beautiful, and it's absolutely lovable for that item alone. But also, I mean, base stats and the bomb, that's quite underrated. That's already very above average, I find. You can start off a run very well with this. Keep the bomb for the first boss, or for the secret room, or for just popping a bunch of rocks so you can access more chests and whatnot. I love Isaac. He's fantastic. He's one of my favorite characters of all time, and one of the best, undeniably, characters in the game. Do not say anyone else. I do not want to hear it. If you're a veteran or even just an intermediate player, this character is insane. If you don't know all the items in the game yet, he's still really good, because you can reroll the garbage that you do not want, that you know of. Or if you get a bit of a clumsy feeling about certain items because you don't know them, but they look kind of dangerous to you, like Devil Deals, for example, just re-roll them, and maybe you get something that you already know, or something that is undeniably better. Okay, Maggy is next. Magdalene, or Mother Minnie, I suppose. Maggy is an interesting case of default Isaac plus a bunch of other stuff. Now, she's got Yum Heart to heal herself, she's got a speed up pill, used to have. I think now it's a full health pill, which is so much better because the base stats are actually pretty good now, if I recall correctly. I feel like she is a lot better now in Repentance than she used to be in AB+, without the speed up pill, that is. This character used to be an absolute chore to play without that speed up pill. Again, if you have the speed up pill, she's just base Isaac, but with a ton of extra healing, a ton of extra health. She doesn't just have one extra heart, she essentially has like 3 extra hearts, with the Yum Heart proccing every 4 rooms or so. It's really good, especially with extra battery fight and whatnot. This is a super tanky character. You can break the game on stage 1 extremely frequently in curse rooms, just finding a ton of hearts, finding a battery room, finding a secret room with a ton of hearts. It's so useful. Or even just blood bangs, arcades. You can break all kinds of stuff. Beggars even. I don't like beggars. Beggars are my least favorite way to break the game, but you can do it. And it's so easy and it's so consistent and it's always held up over the course of the years, even with the vast majority of game breaks in AB Plus being sort of removed or hard nerfed now in Repentance, like the D20, like Restock or Shop breaking, like even blood donation breaking, trinket breaking, and there are so many ways to break the game still nowadays, but most of them have been heavily nerfed, especially Restock. A lot of extremely busted items have been heavily nerfed. If I recall correctly, something like an Abaddon, for example, used to be way about a Serpent's Kiss, used to be insanely strong, and a bunch of other things used to be very strong. I think even Mom's Knife has been nerfed, or Brimstone. I'm not sure, I don't really recall all the nerfs and patches between AB Plus and Repentance, but a lot of stuff has happened and the game is not as easily broken as it used to be. I know that for a fact. Maggy can still break the game pretty damn well just using curse rooms alone, assuming that you find a curse room. No, actually, it's not called a curse room. I keep calling them curse rooms. I mean sacrifice rooms, of course, with the single spike in the middle that you can walk on and eventually get yourself potentially angel-y items, straight teleports to the angel/devil deal and whatnot. Very nice stuff. Absolutely lovable character. I feel like she's B tier, fairly middle of the pack, because she doesn't bring anything super unique or exciting to the tale besides just a bunch of red health that you can toy around with. I wouldn't recommend that you go full red health on this character, although you can, arguably so. Grab yourself a wafer and whatnot, like vampiric items, extra health regen, extra battery charges, extra active item charges per room. This is so fucking strong, but you still need items to carry a run, and that's usually gonna be damage. So not super exciting regarding dealing damage or doing flashy kills, but just getting a bunch of extra stuff potentially over the course of your run and staying fairly healthy. For new and old alike, i.e. new players and veterans alike, this character is super easy to use and rather fun, I would say. Yeah. Cain is next. I love Cain. Cain is amazing. Good damage, good speed. He only shoots from one eye, which can be a little tricky to figure out and kind of weird. I always forget which is the eye that he actually shoots from. So I've never really paid too much attention to that. There's not that many items that care about what eye you are shooting from and boosting one particular eye. But I mean, those items exist and we kind of have to take that into account. Regardless, Cain is fantastic. Looking at his base stats, absolutely better than Isaac. Way better than Isaac. He's got decent health, starting things off at, what was it, 2 HP, which is okay, because he compensates fairly well with the movement speed and damage up. Lucky Foot nowadays is so much better than an AB+. I mean, it did have a period where it got completely nerfed and it was just a 1 luck up trinket. And I think now it's back to its initial state where it also guarantees you lucky pills additionally to the luck up and whatnot. It's really useful. Additionally, Cain can, with the, I don't remember the name to be honest, but he can open golden chests completely for free. He doesn't have to use keys because he holds that one, what was it? Man, I don't remember. He holds a certain trinket that allows him to open chests even if he doesn't have a key for them, which is beautiful. As long as they are locked chests and not stone chests, for example, or any other kind of special locked chest, I suppose. As long as it's a chest you would otherwise need a key for, he can open it for free. Golden chests nowadays contain great items. They used to in AB Plus as well, especially as a new player. You pretty much start things off with just the most broken items like Cricket's Hat and Eternal Flight and whatnot. It's really strong to open golden chests for free, not just for the resources, but for the chance of finding a ton of extra items, especially in AB+, but also now in Repentance. I love Cain. I think he's fantastic. I would say A tier. He's basically Isaac without the D6, but more exciting gadgets, more exciting gimmicks. Judas is next. Talk about Isaac with better stats. Judas starts things off with 1 HP, so he's high risk, high reward because he brings a ton of damage to the table. Also starts things off with the Book of Babylon for extra devil deal chance, which can be activated every 3 or so rooms and grants you a ton of extra base damage. He already has a ton of extra base damage by default. He's the highest base damage character in the game, correct me if I'm wrong, just looking at the base stats, not at the way he actually hits enemies. And yeah, I feel like he's quite commendable. Nothing super special, really, just a ton of base damage. A lot of people love this guy because he is very fun to toy around with. Since you have great base damage already, that's the least of your concerns. Instead, it's kind of the inverse of Maggy, right? You need to care about health, you need to care about survivability, about gathering resources more so, whereas on Maggy, all those things just fly by, right? You just get all that stuff for free. But on Judas, it's the inverse Maggy. He's a lot more exciting, that's for sure, because killing things fast is super satisfying, especially to new players, but he's equally as difficult to play to a new player. You pretty much need soul hearts, a bunch of them, or red hearts even, but I would prefer soul hearts any day. And he cannot take too many devil deals either, which is definitely a negative for a character that kind of wants devil deals. But he's so good with the base damage, you really just need tears ups, and he's good to go. To me personally, he's less interesting than Cain, just much less interesting. Yeah, he's pretty overpowered from the very start of your run, and he doesn't really fall off at any point due to his book and whatnot. You get closer to bookworm additionally, which is a huge damage up, and he's overall very solid, especially for challenge rooms and bosses early on, and getting to boss rush reliably so and stuff. But Cain, to me, is just way more exciting, because I like to take my time. I'm not the kind of player that just rushes through, wants to do boss rush, wants to do hush, wants to do delirium and whatnot. I want to take my time, I want to break the game slowly, and just enjoy my time inside of a run, right? I want to uncover all the secret rooms, all the super secret rooms. I want to go through every floor, every single stage, and every single room of every single stage. And therefore, Cain is just a lot more interesting to me, personally. Paperclip, I believe this trinket is called, by the way. Did I call lucky for the trinket? It's an item, and this trinket, of course, is the paperclip. Alright, Blue Baby, or question mark, question mark, question mark. Blue Baby arguably isn't a very interesting character. A lot of people don't like him at all. I used to be one of them in AB+, because he was just the least interesting and least useful character in the game. Nowadays, which is way more important to judge, he gets slightly reduced devil deal costs, which doesn't really help a soul heart only character that has Isaac's base stats. He has an active item that's not very interesting, which is getting buffed pretty much every patch, but it's not really gonna be much more useful at any point, right? I mean, you get a few blue flies, you have like higher chances of, what is it, like getting black poops or something? I don't remember the latest buff, but like, it's a bad item fundamentally, and you can't really make it much better. In my opinion, what would need to happen to this character in order to make him slightly more interesting, or like a lot more interesting comparatively to all the small patches, make his active item be a 0 charge. Don't have it have 1 room charge, but have it charge continuously while you're inside of a room. I don't remember how those active items are called, because then I can actually do something with the blue flies. I can actually try and min-max with the poop. I can push people around. I can control the flow of battle quite easily, and I can try and make him useful, maybe build around poop synergies. Also, maybe allow for the poops to be special, like with Tainted Blue Baby. I wanna see poison poops, man. I wanna see room-wide damage poops and whatnot, at least occasionally, because just having a regular poop is not super exciting. Or have him be able to gain golden poops or black poops, stuff like that, man. It would be so much more interesting if this functioned analogously, or even somewhat analogously, to Tainted Blue Baby, which is a lot more interesting than Default Blue Baby, arguably so. Default Blue Baby is a huge loser, especially in Repentance. Although he's getting more and more buffs here and there, he's innately just not very interesting to play. So below average, I would say, in C tier. I wouldn't say he's D tier. Like, you could play him fairly well, but he doesn't have anything interesting going for him, and he isn't very appealing to look at either. Eve! Everybody's favorite default girl here. Eve is an emo. And I mean that in the best way possible. She loves to hurt herself to make herself stronger, become a raging whore, pun intended, I suppose. And she's kind of interesting. She's got Dead Bird, which, man, I wish it were more useful, because I personally, of all the things that Eve does, including self-inflicted wounds and huge damage buffs and speed buffs and whatnot, I much prefer playing around the damn bird, which is the weakest part of her kit, and it's not even close. She's a character that wants maximum like 2 red hearts and then have a bunch of soul hearts stacked, which I don't think is a very interesting playstyle. I don't personally like that a lot. I love going for devil and angel deals. I don't really want to limit myself to having red HP. I do not like the self-hurting aspect either, and I think like the concept is interesting in the context of a game, but it's really fucked up if you think about it. It's really fucked up, and it's also not very fun to do, to me personally. Like, I actually feel the pain when I strip away my red health, whether it be the regular razor or the golden razor. I don't really care. In either case, I just don't like using the active item. I don't like the bird. I don't like how weak it is, and I really don't like Eve. I really don't. I will acknowledge that she is basically Judas, but in a lot safer and with more gimmicks. So she's not going into below average, but I really don't like her. I don't like playing Eve. I don't think it's fun. I don't think it's unique. And there's plenty of other characters, including Blue Baby, that I would rather play. Samson used to be my go-to character when I learned the game because he's so goddamn easy to abuse. He's Maggy, but instead of getting all kinds of resources and my health back and whatnot and playing super safely, I can go all out, hurting myself at blood bangs, hurting myself at sacrifice rooms or even curse rooms for that matter, or challenge rooms, and just try to yank up my damage numbers, my base damage numbers, so I destroy the rest of the floor. It's kind of a speed run in terms of how fast can I hurt myself, how often can I hurt myself as fast as possible before I have to clear the floor, so I can demolish the entirety of the floor. It's kind of a mindset of how can I hurt myself a lot so I won't be hurt over the course of dealing with the floor, which is super ironic, but I think that's super funny. I think Samson generally is a pretty solid character. It's really useful of a passive to have, but it's definitely not very interesting. And I must say nowadays I much prefer Maggy and even Eve, because Eve is arguably, like from an objective standpoint, much more interesting than Samson. Samson is just play Isaac, and when you take damage, whether you want to or not, you're just getting a bunch of extra base damage. This doesn't really enable new strategies. It just gives you the base damage that someone like Judas always has, you know. So it makes you more flexible, but you also kind of have to play around with the idea of, am I choosing Wafer or Godhead, for example? Because on the one hand, I kind of want to be more tanky so I can take more damage and deal more damage. On the other hand, an item that just gives me a bunch of extra, like a Sacred Heart or a Godhead or whatnot, these things are so much stronger damage-wise than just the slight damage ups every time I take damage. So that's pretty much the only conflict I would have playing this guy. Other than that, I don't think he's super interesting. Azazel. Okay. This is a character that is often looked down upon in the community because it's so easy. Azazel is, like, the second you lock in Azazel, you cannot lose this run under any circumstances, unless you deliberately go to Mother or to Beast nowadays, or to Delirium with a very bad run, or maybe even Mega Satan, although Mega Satan is arguably easier than the rest, I feel. Azazel is very fun. He's very overpowered, especially in Afterbirth Plus, but now in Repentance, he's still he still hasn't lost a thing, basically. He's still extremely strong. He starts things off with a mini brimstone, which hits 1,000,000,000 times a second and deals way more base damage than everybody else. Even if he did have the base stats of someone like a Maggy, he would still be incredibly overpowered, because Brimstone synergizes innately with a bunch of other stuff, like itself, for example, or a bunch of active items, a bunch of devil deals, even angel deals. He is, on the flip side, locked out from a lot of cool synergies, in my opinion, because of that Brimstone. And I must say, after like hundreds of hours of Brimstone abuse in Afterbirth Plus, one of the most prevalently picked and lolled at items in the game, I don't really like using it much anymore, and so I don't really like using Azazel much anymore. He just kind of limits you to more boring builds. He's got flying, he's got black cards. Black cards are very fun to use in early game, when there's just rooms that I can clear when damaging or when losing a single black card. I like doing that over actually clearing the room, because sometimes clearing the room just takes forever and it's kind of tedious, and black cards just allow me to clear the room faster, which is also great if you want to head to boss rush and such. In fact, he's great at doing boss rush due to all of his attributes, the black cards, the brimstone, the flying. It's just really, really solid. The flying aspect is just kind of too broken, let's be honest with ourselves, because you get all kinds of free shenanigans with, well, just having flying, like super secret items, for example. You don't need bombs for the most part. You will mostly need keys. You can open all kinds of chests, get all kinds of consumables lying around, a ton of money here and there, destroy golden poops pretty much whenever they exist, get free black cards that other characters simply can, yada yada yada. The list goes on and on and on. Flying is just way too broken. You can take damage from traps, and you don't have to dodge very well. Your micromanagement doesn't have to be very good. The brimstone just destroys enemies early game, but also is very relevant in mid and late game, regardless of what boss you tackle. It's very short range, so that's the only disadvantage, but that's not a very strong disadvantage because he's got flying. If you got a bit of movement speed, I mean, it's really not a big deal. Like, it's really, 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 really strong. Overall, I think Azazel is still considered quite fun to new and old alike, although to all players they're probably sick and tired of playing Azazel so much, because this is one of the characters, I mean, if you just want to win around, if you really just want to win around, you play Azazel. And then you can still use the remote and try to get unlocks that way, right? It's a one run, you keep all your items basically and just swap to a different character. Azazel is good. He's very good. I feel like I'll put him at the top of B tier. I don't think he can be put into A tier, because like a huge thing to me personally, a huge deal, is that he simply disables some very interesting synergies. One of my favorite items in the game, for example, is Jacob's Ladder, which connects your tiers with a bunch of Tesla coils. And this implies that you can shoot tiers, or that you can shoot tiers that fly into different directions. So in between, these lightning strikes can build up. He can't really do that. He needs a ton of support in order to be able to even shoot tiers. I think he needs like Lullaby or whatever the hell the item is called that allows you to remote control your brimstone and stuff like that, which is also not very interesting. I mean, you may have seen it once, maybe twice. Hey, Spoonbender and Brawl. Hey, I get a brimstone. Ooh, double, triple brimstone. Ooh, amazing. Ooh, Mum's knife. So interesting. It gets very stale quickly playing Azazel, and there's not too much beyond the overpowered synergies that you can look forward to. Lazarus is next. In AB+, this would have been below Blue Baby, I feel. Like my least favorite character, and it's not even close. Nowadays, he's a lot more interesting. In the old days, you pretty much needed to die like as early on as possible, otherwise your run would just be absolutely horrible because his base stats are so fucking terrible. He's balanced around his alternate form. So why don't you just give me the alternate form? Just cut the crap. Why the res? I mean, cool, that enables certain strats, but like, I have to suffer in the early game. I have to find a good first, second, and third item for this guy to deal any damage, to live for X amount of time, so I can actually use the res. And most people just die with this early on purposely, to, you know, maybe get a chest here and there in the sacrifice room, or actually to just gain a couple more coins at the blood bank, because he's truthfully that useless, that worthless. I still believe firmly that this hasn't really changed, but nowadays I do like playing him better, for sure. He feels a lot rounder, and I don't think he's the worst character in the game anymore. So I feel bottom of C tier is appropriate. I still prefer him way less over someone like Eve, which I personally really dislike, or even Blue Baby for that matter. Eden, regular Eden, is fun, I would say. Very fun. It's just a de facto randomized Isaac run. And randomizing Isaac is super fun. This game has a lot to offer in terms of variety anywhere you look. And that's beautiful. You can go anywhere with an Eden run, and I would argue that's probably more interesting of an approach than just starting things off with a dedicated character and going like, okay, I need this and that checkmark. Play Eden, have fun, play around your strengths and weaknesses, figure out what you need, figure out what you want to get rid of, and that just adds a lot of extra elements potentially to your Isaac run. Say you only start things off with soul hearts and you have to figure out a way to take a devil deal and such. Like, it's a lot more interesting. It's so much more interesting. This guy is A tier. Also, the haircuts are beautiful. I feel like Eden goes at the top of A tier. I don't want to put her or them into S tier. I don't think they're quite, because I mean, theoretically, you can have horrendous Eden runs that are D tier, or you can have amazing Eden runs that are S tier right away, so she should go into the middle. But just that fun aspect, that randomness, if you're gonna play Eden, and it's not just for dumb unlocks, chances are you've already played plenty of Isaac before, and you know a bunch of stuff. Here and there, a few tricks, and this character won't be as difficult. You can mitigate those difficulties sometimes. I would say more often than not, and the fun aspect, just the willingness to randomize, it definitely lifts it an entire tier. So by de facto, it should be in the middle of the tier list and the dead center, because it varies just so much, but I'm gonna bump it up for the aforementioned reasons. Hello. The Lost is next. The Lost is a beautiful, beautiful character. It's extremely fun to play. You start things off with invulnerability. Yes, you die in one hit, but you can never take a hit, because you get one hit for free in every single room. You get customs for free, you get one devil deal for free, or you can go angel deals. You can do whatever you want with this guy, except go for a health route. You can't really use blood banks, so to me personally, the most fun part about Isaac is abusing arcades and abusing the shop. Because those things, to me personally, as I have played just so much AV+, and I have always broken the game that way, one way or the other, eventually, every single run, no matter the character I'm playing. That's just such a fun, impressive, and amazing to watch way of breaking the game. Lost can't really do that to the same degree, but he doesn't really have to. I mean, you get flea frying, so you get a bunch of extra items, you get a bunch of extra consumables. Let's not kid around. It's just so goddamn free to play this character. Now with the holy card and whatnot, it's gotten even easier. You get a bunch of extra hits. The devil deals definitely help out greatly. You cannot ever not get a devil/angel deal, as you cannot take damage with this character. If you did take damage somehow, you would have died. So while you're alive, you can go revive items, you can get Guppy very quickly and whatnot, and actually a lot of items that otherwise wouldn't be super useful, like the revive items in particular. Most characters don't actually end up dying unless you have a horrendous run. They are super amazing on the Lost, and absolutely loves them. I think Lost is one of the fundamentally most fun characters in the game, and this may be controversial, but I'll put it into S tier. I feel like it probably deserves A tier to be side by side with Eden, but to me this character just screams fun, and it screams versatility. And if I didn't have too much time to play a very long Isaac run, but I just wanted to jump in and play a quick round and have a good time, I would pick the Lost any day, because it's just Azazel, but less broken. You die in one hit. which is a good thing. That's not a bad thing. I mean, it's a bad thing to someone who still needs all the check marks and who doesn't have Holy Mantle unlocked. But with the Holy Mantle, this character is extremely fun. It's super duper fun. You can do anything you want. Just play a quick round of Isaac, man. You get all kinds of free stuff. All the good stuff in there. More chests, more items, equals more fun. And you die in one hit. So if you fuck things up because you're too bad, chances are you did have a lot of fun. And now you're dead, and you can move on with your day. That's also positive to me. Lilith is next. I hate Lilith. I'll just be very straightforward on that. I hate the unlocks. The only way this character is playable is by playing Greed or Greedier or Boss Rush, anything wave-based, and having just a ton of extra active item generation or battery drops and whatnot. That's the only way I would ever play this character. I absolutely do not like having to rely on a summon that is kind of wonky to control, on a summon chain, especially when I have multiple summons. I can't really reorder the chain. I have to pick items up in a particular way in order to do that, so that doesn't work. It's completely out of my control. Talk about completely out of my control. This character feels completely out of my control. I would prefer this to have like Spectral Shot or something. I just really don't like the gimmick that she brings to the table. I will admit that Box of Friends is incredibly fun. I love summons personally. They add a lot to the overall run that you're playing. There's a few select summons that I personally really adore, but I don't like her. I'll just be straightforward, I don't like her. I think the starting stats are good, I think the starting health is fantastic, and obviously her gimmick is pretty damn strong, especially with the Box of Friends. You can't ever really drop the Box of Friends. To me, active items, I've mentioned it before, I feel, are the most fun part in all of Isaac, and I adore them. They're all my favorite items in the game, and being bound to Box of Friends just to play this character, it feels shit. It feels really bad to me personally as someone who loves active items. I feel like she'll go right here. She's either hit or miss. I feel to most people it's either she's way too hard or way too tedious to hit with, or she is extremely fun. I love summons. Box of Friends is the best item in the game, yada yada yada. But I don't know that many people who fairly say themselves they would enjoy Lilith. And I definitely am not one of those either. Keeper, on the other hand, is a keeper. It's a beautiful character. It doesn't have a lot of HP. It has a lot of very special item unlocks dedicated to it. And it has a lot of items that feel like they were made with the intent of only being used in this character. I don't remember exactly, I'll be straightforward, how this character works. Like, what happens when I pick up health, for example. Do I get blue flies? How do I purchase Devil Deals and whatnot? What are the prices and whatnot? But I do remember fondly my time playing this character. I love this character. I think the active item is amazing. Combine it with, what could you combine it with? The Nun? I think that worked. I'm not sure. Because the Wooden Nickel, if that's the name, I think that's an item that restores its energy over time. It isn't charge based so much, but I could be wrong on that. Regardless, I fondly remember this character. I'm just talking out of my ass here, pretty much from nostalgia, and I think this is one of the more fun characters in the game. It's super duper unique and different, and takes some getting used to at the very beginning, but once you get the hang of it, I feel it's extremely fun, and most importantly, you can play any kind of run with this. It doesn't heavily limit you, for the most part. I would say this is probably very high A tier. Like, not highest of A tier, but very, very high A tier. Reliably extremely fun character with a ton of synergies in the game, a ton of dedicated stuff, and, well, not very exciting unlocks, but, I mean, there's a lot of characters that don't have exciting unlocks. Looking at you, for example, or Maggy. Alright, Apollyon! This is a very biased take. I'll let you know, Apollyon used to be my favorite character in the game for quite a long time. He used to share the #1 slot in my favorite list together with Isaac, shortly followed by the Lost. Apollyon is a character that is generally not liked by the community. He's not very creative. He's not very free in what he likes to do. He just likes to consume items and gain random stat ups. Often, random stat ups are not very good. There are certain stats you simply do not care for, generally speaking. Luck is one of them, I would say. Shot speed, arguably one of them. Range is often one of them. There are boss items that only give you range. Plenty, in fact. And those are some of the worst items in the game. I mean, they help, but like, they do nothing for you overall. And having range ups, range downs, it doesn't really matter as much. You get range ups, like when you do find a range up, it's usually huge. It's like +2 or something on the scale, which is a ton. And this guy, he's not gonna give you too much extra range overall, and it's not really gonna matter either. Shot speed generally doesn't matter for the vast majority of builds in the game. Luck doesn't really matter for the vast majority of builds in the game, unless you have a dedicated on-hill build, in which case, I mean, that's cool, I guess. The only thing I really care for with these setups is movement speed and tears rate / damage up, because those are actually very useful, and those are the center point for any given build. At least having a bit of movement speed like 1.2 or above is pretty neat, and so you can fairly easily dodge anything that's in the game. And having good tear rate, so you can go for on head, so you can go for a raw base damage build, and it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of the most important stat in the game, I would say. Getting stat ups randomly is a hassle. It's gambling. It's not very useful. But the void consuming active items and stacking them is, as someone who loves active items, honestly, it's beautiful. In Afterbirth Plus, one of my favorite items is the Satanic Bible. And that item, yes, it's fucking broken. No shit, Sherlock, but it's so beautiful. It's so mesmerizing to walk into a library with Apollyon and just hit that damn active item and everything just gets annihilated. I can live with not actually receiving good boss loot for the rest of my run, as long as I have an entire library stacked in my void, and I get a bunch of extra active item charges and battery generation, battery baby and whatnot. Those used to be my favorite items in the game, and there was a lot of that stuff, and I fondly look back at it. Nowadays I feel like Apollyon is a bit worse. A lot of the books have gotten nerfed, a lot of other active items are not as strong anymore. There are things that give you randomized effects, so you can't really control your stuff very well. I like stacking a bunch of invisible things in the void and trying to keep track of the order, trying to keep track of what I need, what I want. What I don't like is not finding active items over the course of your run. I mean, you're just gonna have a de facto default run, right? It's a default run with an active item that does nothing in that particular case, which is not great. Also, there are certain active items that are quite low charge, unlike the void, and that want you to have the none, and that want you to be hit and play within a certain cycle of actions, and it doesn't really work. Like, they would replace the void, at which point, again, why are you playing Apollyon? Just play default Isaac. It's the same thing, basically, but better, because you start with the bomb and slightly better stats and whatnot. Apollyon is not a character that gets a lot of love, arguably, and nowadays I don't really play him as much. There's a lot more creative characters in the game now, a lot more interesting ones. He still holds a place very dear to my heart, but I will say he's C tier. He's really not that interesting of a character. Forgotten, on the other hand, is arguably probably the most innovative character in the entirety of the game. This is the only character in the game, I mean, with an asterisk to it now, with the tainted characters, and I suppose with Azazel, more or less, that does not use tears, but instead uses a melee bone, which does, what was it, 3 times the damage of tears. He has 2 forms. He has a stance switch, which is not super innovative, but the way it works is that you're always bound to the physical body, which is amazing. That is thematically S tier. That is beautiful. Absolutely fantastic. You can use the body, you can play around the body, you have one ranged form, one melee form. You can even charge up the bone, which honestly, like, you gotta appreciate the devs adding that, because like, it makes sense to have a melee only and a ranged only form. They don't share the same health pool, they don't share necessarily the same item strengths, and I think that's so beautiful. You can do so much with this character. This is F tier. It's not even close. We don't have to debate about why Forgotten is S tier. This is just an insanely creative character with a ton of synergies, with so much uniqueness, more than anyone else on this list, with an asterisk to it. And I love him. I really love him. I don't play him a lot personally, but I appreciate the people that do. I think you are super duper cool, and I love watching you. Just letting you know. Bethany is next. Regular Bethany is interesting. She's fun. She feels like a modded character, because the wisps are kind of a strange concept to Isaac, like playing around that. It's an interesting gimmick for sure. She adds a ton of damage to herself, but you have to play very clean. You're kind of just the Lost, but without flying. I like the book synergies, and with other active items, I think that's super duper fun. Other than that, I don't really like the wisps by themselves. I don't think that's super interesting. So she's average or slightly above average to me personally. Probably goes right here. Yeah, I don't... No, right here. She's more interesting than Azazel. Come on. Come on. Of course she's more interesting than Azazel. She has synergies with active items that are interesting and fun to explore. None of the other characters below really do have that. She's kind of like Apollyon. Like a very small change away from Apollyon, I feel. Yeah. I'll just leave it at that. I don't really have strong feelings towards Bethany. Jacob and Esau. J and E. The boys. The traitor and the betrayed. J and E is very interesting. It's kind of like the Forgotten, because you're playing two characters, but you're playing them at once. You're playing multiplayer with yourself. This is kind of sad, man. It's like you're playing 4D chess, but against yourself. It's interesting. It's fun. It's unique. But it's a pain in the ass, let me tell you. I feel like there is a lot of abusable mechanics with this character, or these characters. I feel like there's a lot of intricate details and things to learn and skills to acquire, but other than that, they don't really have anything that makes them unique. You just play two characters at once, and it's a pain in the ass more often than it isn't. It's creative, I give you that, and it's very innovative and interesting in the context of the game. I feel like they're A tier for that reason. It's kind of like Lilith. Either you really enjoy playing them, or you don't at all. I feel like, even though I don't personally ever feel the need to just go back and play a J&E run, this is a pretty good character. Fundamentally, very nice. Also extremely strong if you can play it well. It's essentially just double the damage, and one of the characters is just so much stronger than the other. But you can basically build both on hit and burst damage at the same time, so you can do all kinds of stuff. You can have twice the Isaac fun, essentially, at least in theory, and you get double items and whatnot. You can practice different attack. You can quite literally just play multiplayer, but with yourself, okay? You get just as much support, just as many items, you learn just the same amount of techs and whatnot, and yeah, it's an interesting character. I feel like it's 8. I feel like it's not beat. I feel like it's more creative than these, and it has different playstyles to it, it has different intricacies, and that makes the character simply much more interesting than someone like an Azazel, for example. Alright, starting things off with Tainted Isaac in the Tainted section here. Tainted Isaac is bland. He's very bland. There we go, I said it. It's Isaac, but an even more busted. You control better, the best in fact, the best way possible what items you get, as opposed to Isaac where it's randomized. Random items, random itemization is a fun effect, because you don't know what you're getting, and that's great. The human mind loves that. Whereas just being overpowered every round, it's kind of like the Azazel theorem. It hurts you. It really hurts you physically. It's always the same kind of run. You go devil deals, you hope for brimstone. Oh, didn't get brimstone. Not exciting. Just move on to the next devil. Oh, didn't get brimstone. Just moving on. Instead of looking at the tiny wins of the cosmic run. Ooh, I got Serpent's Kiss. Now I got some health regen. Ooh, I got Cricket's Hat. Now I got an extra damage up. You just look at a golden chest and be like, oh, it's not Cricket's Hat. Now I'm disappointed. You don't really look forward to finding items as much. You're also rather limited. I mean, 8 item slots is still a lot of items. You need like 3 items to be completely busted in the game, depending on the item quality, of course, and the item effect. But overall, this character is very limiting. He doesn't allow for a lot of very creative builds, I feel. Although this is the go-to character if you just have a certain build in mind and you want to try it out, because it's so much faster to acquire. I mean, you can also just go into the lobby and cheat, give yourself the items, because that's even faster, more reliable. But you could also play Tainted Azazel if you don't like using the debug console. I think he's cool. I think he's really fun for a couple runs, and then probably not so much. He's also not very creative. He's just my preferred way of playing Azazel, basically. That may be a little bit insulting to Azazel mains, but like, Tainted Isaac, man, that's not where it's at. I mean, it's good. It's pretty good. It's just Isaac in really good. You can feel like you're starting off the game again on a fresh save file. You get Mushroom every game. You get Brimstone every game. Cricket set and whatnot. Damn, I'm so OP, mom. Look at me. I'm picking apart everything. But that's not how you should play the game, in my opinion. That's just kind of boring after a while, arguably. Tainted Maggy is also very overpowered. Very interesting character with an interesting gimmick. You don't really have to rely on, you don't really have to use it if you don't want to. But like, it's cool ramming into people, it's cool figuring out how much damage you deal when you can execute enemies and stuff. She's a berserker, and I love that. She's beautiful. I think there's not much to say about her. She's just, yeah, I mean, she's very basic if you break it down. But the gimmick is very fun, and it's very fun to toy around with, and she has a few synergies in the game that are extremely broken or extremely interesting to witness. I like being hit as well, like deliberately. I like rushing into enemies. Movement speed, for example, is actually way more interesting on this character than on others. We're talking about syringes specifically, but also a bunch of other movement speed related active items, for example. The I don't remember the name. The thing that spins around you and makes all the orbitals go faster, and also gives you a ton of movement speed, for example. Cube of Meat and whatnot are a lot more interesting on this character, but generally all of these items are not very interesting inherently. So she has something going for her. I feel like A tier would probably be a stretch, although she's very similar to Judas. But you're always forced to play around the gimmick with her, I feel. You cannot really just say, yeah, I'll just play a normal run, but I'll play Tainted Maggy. Just play Judas, man. I mean, it does the same thing. You get closer to Bookworm. Even if you don't want huge damage numbers, you get more interesting stuff. You get to see more devil deals and such. So I feel like Judas is just more interesting than Tainted Bethany. Sorry, Tainted Maggy. But Tainted Maggy overall, I'm a fan of. I would put her into A tier if I could just reflect on my own opinion, like, entirely. But I feel like objectively she's just not super interesting comparatively to a bunch of other stuff up here. Tainted Cain, D tier. Here's the reason. This character is creative, he's fun, he's extremely fun, but his runs are too long, way too long. Until you become a Twitch streamer and you just do full-time streams every day, this character, he forces you to run. And it's not fun at some point, it's just tedious. You just want to finish off the run, but to me, I'm a person that doesn't rush through. I don't make myself like 3-4 items and say, yeah, we're good to go for the rest of the run. No. I want to try and min-max every single action I play with this character, and that's just too tedious. Yes, that's a me issue, I'm aware. But I feel like the unlocks, I feel like just baseline playing him, it's so fucking tedious. Especially in multiplayer, if you consider that I've played most of my Repentance career, quote-unquote, playing multiplayer. This character is completely unplayable. Probably the only character in the game that I would never, ever, ever touch. And that I actually believe is poorly designed in the game. Not because the gimmick is poorly designed, but because it takes too long to min-max, and it's too difficult, and it should, like, I shouldn't have to pull up a chart every time, or the mod that does that for me. Every time I try to make a significant play, he forces you to make interesting decisions, such as, do I take the black heart, like actually have the black heart, or do I put it in the bag and try to get a devil deal out here? But he takes amazing plays away from me. He takes things that are interesting and exciting, like Eternal Hearts, away from me. or bone hearts. And he forces me to adapt, and I really don't like that a lot, man. He's so restrictive. I don't like that at all. Tainted Judas, the RGB keyboard with a certain mod. What a beautiful character, extremely fun. It's just Judas, but in way better because iframes and movement speed and insane damage numbers, and literally destroys enemy projectiles, if I recall correctly. Or at least all of them contribute towards your damage buff. He's super duper fast, he's absolutely amazing. Top of A tier. He's not going S tier, I don't play him a lot. My partner played him quite a bit, and I also did. He's one of the most busted characters in the game, if not the most busted character in the game, in a vacuum. Super duper strong. Definitely has a ton of synergies, a lot of things that he can go crazy with, such as cubes and whatnot, orbitals generally. But man, this character is so overpowered, it's crazy, but also fun at the same time, unlike Azazel or Tainted Isaac, for example. Tainted Blue Baby goes to the very top of the tier list. This character is my favorite character in the game. It's so creative, it's so interesting. It doesn't always work very well, especially in multiplayer. It can be overwhelming to the other person you're playing with. You need a certain mod so that when you inevitably collect the bombs that you come across, they don't just turn into, flies? But instead, your team actually gets the bombs. Your teammate will never get to use bombs. Just inform them, right? That might not be fun to them. I love playing around bombs. I love playing around poop, playing around flies, playing around base setups that are useful, like speed ups that a lot of characters don't need by default because they're just Isaac, and Isaac has okay speed. You just get one speed up and you're good for the rest of the run. But on Blue Baby, you need you need damage, you need tears up, and you need speed. You need to look for a lot of things, which is great. I love that. He's not useless without those things. He's quite useful. In fact, he's probably the most busted character in a vacuum, completely in a vacuum. No items over the course of your run. This character deals the most damage among all the characters. If I could quite put my finger in, I feel like that's just how it is. This character is really cool. He has innate synergy with himself. The poops are so fun. Sometimes, though, he kind of forces you to stand still and wait to cycle through to that bomb poop or to that poison plus fire combination. I have had a lot of runs where he just seems to randomly explode while holding something that can't explode and such, but beside that, he's amazing. Beside the bugs, beside the drawbacks in multiplayer, this character is so insane fun, and he has so many cool synergies, and you can, like, it's just base Isaac, but with so many extra mechanics on top, you don't have to use them, but you may, and that's cool. And bomb builds are so much more interesting. Bomb builds generally are insane. I love them. Scatter bombs plus brimstone plus sat bombs and whatnot. They are already amazing to toy around with on a basic character, although you need a lot of items to make them work. But on Blue Baby, on Tainted Blue Baby, they are just so much more fun and interesting and enjoyable. But I especially get excited about things like Beelzebub that otherwise I wouldn't. I really wouldn't be excited. Or even Guppy. I get excited about every single angel deal I get to see, or sometimes even devil deals when I feel really quirky. Soul hearts are cool. I don't really have to rely on red hearts. I'm not completely locked out of making health plays with a wafer, for example, with blood banks and such. I feel like this character, it is an Isaac. It doesn't allow you ultimate freedom, but it allows you ultimate freedom with a twist. You still have to play around it somewhat, but it's just so fun. It's so beautiful. The Soul Heart early part isn't even that bad. I kind of like that, because you can't fuck up your Devil Deal or Angel Deal chance, which is cool. That's a positive. Some people really enjoy that. I think he's great. I think he's fantastic, and I absolutely love him. I think his combos are amazing. He's one of the most busted characters in multiplayer, or even single player, with the Holy Poop plus Poop Trail, for example. You can even play around trails and certain zodiacs and such. Like, he's so cool. I really like him. The only negative I can say about him, beside his base stats, which is kind of a neutral aspect of him, is that he's ugly as hell. He is an absolute disgrace to look at, even in his base form. I mean, you can see him right here, and he doesn't get any better. In fact, he gets much worse with just one syringe or one bandage and stuff like such. But you can kind of make him cute with a bunch of Maggy items, like the Maggy's bow and whatnot. But, like, man, this character is so ugly, and I feel like that's why a lot of people don't give him credit or don't even want to play him. I think he's amazing, and he's absolutely a veteran-only character. If you're a new player and you toy around with him, you will blow yourself up more often than not. Eve. Tainted Eve. Tainted Eve is a lot more interesting than regular Eve. I give you that. The clops are cool. You can play around them. You can use them for burst damage. You can use them as your friends. You can use them like Bethany would, but you're more flexible in how you use them. You can resolve them frequently so they don't die. You have to pay attention to them so they don't, I'm gonna say, bleed out over time, because they die over time the longer they're active. You can gain interesting plots like soul hearts, eternal hearts, and whatnot. Overall, it's an interesting gimmick. I feel like it's just Bethany, but more interesting. It's still less interesting to me than Tainted Maggy, because I like going ham. I don't like taking my time forever to stack up an army that might just be wiped in a single hit. You know, I really don't like that. I don't like being limited in my movement. I like having a lot of extra movement. So Tainted Maggy is just so much more fun. Or Tainted Judas, that's another great example for my kind of playstyle. Or even Tainted Blue Baby, because I can lock enemies' paths out entirely by jamming them with poops, or by putting a bunch of explosives in front of them, by putting a trail on the ground and whatnot. It's just so much more interesting movement-wise. I like movement a lot, and she's so much like Bethany, man. But like, well, I guess I prefer Bethany. I guess I actually do prefer Bethany because of the book synergies. Yeah, and Tainted Eve is kind of broken. That's another very ridiculous character that crops up with huge astronomical damage numbers very quickly from early game to late game. Doesn't matter. Doesn't need many items to be very, very strong. Tainted Samson is fun. He's very fun. I don't play him a lot. He's the de facto berserker in the game, although Tainted Maggy is arguably a soft berserker. I think he's super duper fun. I think he's Tainted Judas, but with a gimmick. Tainted Judas just doesn't feel like an overpowered, like fundamentally overpowered character. And Tainted Samson is actually super duper fun to toy around with. Throwing the bone, just going ham while you can. Cue the Doom music and just go nuts. I think he's extremely fun. Probably, I mean, to me personally, he's less fun than Keeper, but like one of the most fun characters in the game. I just do not play him very often, as I actually prefer characters without gimmicks. No, that would be wrong. I play a lot of Keeper, I play a lot of Tainted Blue Baby, so that's absolutely wrong. But I prefer someone like Cain. Like someone who's plain and simple. I prefer enjoying the little things in life. I think that's way more appropriate for my personal playstyle. And Samson just wants to go rough, man. I don't really like that. I don't like being forced. Just hearing the sound that Samson makes when he transforms, and growing redder and redder, and knowing I will transform here in a second and I can't do anything about it, it puts a certain amount of pressure on my mind, and I don't really like that when playing Isaac. I just want to chill, man. I just want to have a chill round. But this is arguably, like, so cool. So cool of a character. I love him. Alright, Tainted Azazel. Just Azazel without the flying, with a cute little sneeze for nice knockback plays. Arguably even more damage, more range. A thinner Brimstone, but long range. The sneeze amplifies damage dealt with the Brimstone to targets it marks them for quite a long duration. He's cute. He's really cute. Definitely a step up from regular Azazel, gameplay-wise, because he's more interesting. I don't think he is A tier, but he's fun. I actually kind of like playing him. The sneeze into other combinations with like active items or orbitals, or even just the regular Brimstone, it's pretty cool. It's cool. I like it. The sneeze adds a lot for me. If it didn't have the sneeze, he would be lower than Azazel, because he's so much slower to move around with due to the the lack of flying compared to regular Azazel. And well, the sneeze is really cute. What can I say? I'm just a fan of it. Tainted Lazarus is the worst character in the game, and I hate him. I really hate him. I hate him more than Tainted Cain. And I feel like that means a lot to a lot of people, and that might be very, very offensive to say, because Tainted Cain is just widely hated as a character that just takes forever to do anything with. Tainted Lazarus, well, we're not talking about Tainted Cain on release, right, with the certain abusable path that you can always run, but like modern Tainted Cain where the recipes are randomized every time. Tainted Lazarus is like playing two characters at once, but suffering, because you can only, like, you have to play both characters because they swap every room on completion, but you have to play around active item, and it has too many charges on it. It takes too long to swap, so naturally one character will be very overpowered and have all the items, and the other will have nothing. This is Jacob and Esau done wrong in all of the ways. Jacob and Esau is very hard to play because you have to maneuver, and you have to learn the shortcuts, like playing on a controller or a keyboard. It doesn't really matter. It's really hard to control the character as a physical player in the real world. Whereas with Lazarus, it's just really hard to make the thing work, the gimmick work in-game and actually win with. And it's painful, and I hate it. Yes, you get to see more items, but the active item restriction, it's too much. I hate it. If you fix the active item, if it was like a 2 charge, a 3 charge, I would bump him up into like high B or even A tier, because he would be very fun. He would be very fun. You see so much more of the game, you can control better who gets what, and you can swap between playstyles quite literally, which is fun. But it's not how the character works right now, and right now he's just really a pain in the ass, and I am missing a few unlocks on him here and there. I will never get him, ever. I don't think that's happening. Tainted Eden. Talk about fun characters. This is Eden, but you randomize everything you have every time you hit. This can be extremely painful. It can feel like playing the Lost without a Holy Mantle, and when you get hit once, your run is just completely ruined. But I feel like people that play Tainted Eden voluntarily and don't just want to have the check marks, they're down for that. They really want that. They want to have the high risk, high reward. They want to have a different build every single time. They get hit, basically every room. Sometimes they want to be hit deliberately, sometimes they want to play around it. They want to have as many items as possible. They don't care about the quality of items. It's fun. It's really fun. What can I say? I feel like Tainted Eden is probably right here, next to Eden, above Eden, because it's more exciting. I personally prefer the regular Eden because I don't like losing all my progress and losing all my work, because I invest so much time into a run whenever I do commit to one. But arguably Tainted Eden is just the ultimate randomization experience. It's so cool. I wish every character had something like that. Randomized characters, that's a fairly normal thing to have, but like randomizing on every hit, that's crazy. That is really cool. Tainted Lost. I must say personally this is a character I don't play a lot. I just don't like the pressure it puts onto me. Yes, you get better items. Yes, you have flying and spectral tiers and the usual Lost shenanigans. But being a one-shot, having to rely on holy cards or similar synergies like other iframe granting things. There's a lot of iframe granting things in the game, like Unicorn Horn for example, or cards or pills, consumables generally. I don't really like that playstyle very much. I don't like being out in the open, having the constant pressure on me, losing in one hit. It doesn't feel fair to me. I don't like it. I really don't like it much. I think it's a good character design fundamentally. It's gonna go into high B tier. It's still fun to play, don't get me wrong, but I actually want to have a chance of winning, and I don't have that when playing this character. Unless I'm a veteran, I play every day, I have a lot of practice in the game with this particular character, that is. I just don't like it. I don't want to lose, right? It may sound stupid, but like I want to have at least a chance to win. Like with regular Eden, for example. I mean, I might have a terrible run, but I can always try and bring it home. With skill, that is. Tainted Loss is just, yeah, have skill or die. You lose. Tainted Lilith is very fun. She has a whip, which is already like super duper cool because the sound effect alone makes you want to use it more. It's beautiful. The damage is great. The melee damage is fantastic. The feeders, actually using it for tiers. I mean, who does that anyway? I mean, for certain builds you can do it for like on hit, but generally speaking, I don't really use the feeders for the tiers. For the most part, I just really enjoy using the whip. It feels very rewarding. It's super fun. It gets stale occasionally, But then I just played Tainted Samson, and I swapped back to Tainted Lilith, and I'm happy again, man. Like, it feels so rewarding, it's so cool, it's always there, it never goes away. It does have a few synergies, nothing super noteworthy, I feel. Overall, it's extremely fun. I would say middle or low A tier. I would say it's less fun than Samson, because it's limiting. So I can't just use the regular tier mechanic, I have to rely on the melee whip, and I have to one-shot everything early game and mid-game, and it doesn't matter what items I pick up, I will still basically one-shot everything, and I can knock people around and stuff. I'm super chunky, but I'm forced to do that, you know, that's just the character. But it's still very fun, like, it's a great way of playing the game, and if it's your playstyle, I mean, that's literally the perfect character for you. It doesn't get any better than that. Tainted Keeper is fun. It's such a rush. It's like playing Dark Judas. It's like playing Tainted Samson. I just called him Dark Judas because he's basically Dark Judas. Tainted Judas is of course what I'm talking about. Or even Tainted Eden, Tainted Maggy. It wants you to rush, which is a common theme with a lot of Tainted characters, I feel. It really wants it to play faster. And playing faster means you make more mistakes. You have to pay more attention, which is great. I mean, to a veteran, that's amazing. It forces you to adapt, it forces you to overcome situations, react quickly, and that's amazing. It really keeps the game fresh. I love him, I think he's fantastic. I do not really know which of the keepers I prefer. I feel like I prefer regular keeper, but Tainted Keeper is arguably keeper, but in so much faster, and that's great. That's really great. Regular keeper, I just really take my time. I can actually get really tanky and try and break the game. Tainted Keeper, I have to play fast. I have to try and stay alive, have to find certain items to have more health and such. It's a really interesting character. It's in every way a step up from, well, the default character, Isaac. It's so exciting, it's so different, and it keeps the Keeper gimmick, which is the most important part. I think Keeper is universally a liked character overall. I'm sure there's people out there that really don't like that mechanic, but like, generating coins is so much easier than generating health. It's so much easier, so staying alive is pretty much a non-issue on this character. Triple shot is a little bit annoying. Quad shot, probably more so, but it's easier to hit because you have the pellets flying non-diagonally, I feel. They mostly fly in one line, as far as I recall. Whereas triple shot is just kind of annoying early game on the regular keeper, so Tainted Keeper has got that advantage, and other than that, just like, you make so much money so quickly, man. It's insane. It's really, really fun. It's the Tainted Maggy version for the Keeper. Tainted Apollyon, my boy. I love you, Apollyon. I love the flies. I wish there were more synergies in the game. I really want to love Tainted Apollyon. The flies are good. They are arguably better than random stats ups because they are reliable. They are a reliable source of damage. They are very calculable and rather easy to use. They pierce. They travel rather slowly, which is a positive because then they hit more frequently, and they deal a lot of damage overall, and they add a lot to your gameplay. But there's only like a handful of special flies that you can get when consuming things, and I do not like that. Not one fucking bit. I want this character to be B or even A tier. It's not. It doesn't have enough synergies to be interesting. It's just base Apollyon, but without cool synergies, basically, because you never find the flies. I still do not know all the synergies by heart, or even like half of them, because I never get to see them when playing this. And I honestly, like when I want flies and stuff, and poop-related stuff, I much prefer Tainted Blue Baby, which is just immediately an exciting character compared to Tainted Apollyon. It's still base Isaac with a good gimmick, good, solid, strong, but that's all I can say about this. It's just not very interesting. Tainted Forgotten. This is a very hit-or-miss character. I feel like to most people this is very fun. It's another rush character. You can take your time. You can be an absolute chicken playing this and really take your time. You can always get Kamikaze and always get orbitals and whatnot, which is cool. He enables certain new strategies that other characters literally do not ever use. He also forbids you a lot of strategies, but it's just so satisfying essentially playing basketball with your enemies. Slam dunk the forgotten body into the hoop, i.e. into your enemy. It feels so meaty and so good. It deals so much damage. and it's very interactive, which is amazing. Baseline, this is an extremely fun character. Looking at item synergies, not so much. It's more like on the side of Tainted Lilith, and I think I'll rank it accordingly on the basis of that. I think to most people this is either S or D tier, to be honest, but to me it's like a middle, low A tier, because it's good. Like, I can't deny that at all. Even if I don't like, personally, throwing the guy over and over and over again, I think it's super duper interesting, super fun. There's a ton of new and unexplored synergies with this character, and that's very commendable. But I highly prefer characters that keep the tiers. I said that earlier. In almost any case, tiers are more interesting than a gimmick, whether it be melee or laser in the case of Azazel, or flies in the case of Apollyon, or a bag in the case of Cain, because you can actually use the bag as a weapon, right? Tainted Bethany is fun. It's like playing Eden, Tainted Eden, and I guess the Lost all together. Extremely fun character, very controllable. It's like Keeper, but without the need for money. You just use your active item to determine what kind of item pool you want to raid. This is so pleasant of a character to play. I have never had a bad run in my life playing this. Yes, you get hit once and all your wisps may just die off. It's your own fault, it's a skill issue, and that's fine. Until then, pretty much you're just bound to have so much fun. Until you realize that there's a wisp limit, which is quite a great limit. You can have a ton of items, but there's a limit, so don't overdo it. Don't overdo regular items especially, that's not worth it. Tainted Bethany is fun. It's probably S tier, to be honest. To me, it's the most fun A tier. It's not quite S tier because it's not super unique. You just toy around with all the items in the game. You can build synergies very interestingly because you have physical items and then wisp items. It's so fun. It's so damn fun. You can go for active item synergies, you can go for heart synergies, you can still stack your health, you can still use your tiers, you can still use items like Jacob's Ladder for that reason. You could also go for active items, arguably, but like, man, this character is so interesting. It's so damn interesting. But it's just base Isaac with basically a completely randomized build, which is exciting, but not really a playstyle, as opposed to all the S tiers here, which are very diverse playstyles, I would say. Or they represent those playstyles, or they allow for the playstyles. Okay, finally we got my least played character in all of the game. Yes, I've played way more Tainted Cain for some fucked up reason, probably because I'm stuck for like 3 hours every run. Tainted Jacob. In multiplayer, very interesting, very fun. This guy actually cannot hit, well, your co-op player, which is amazing. Especially when you have multiple Tainted Jacobs, it's just pure mayhem and super entertaining. But that's not enough to make this character interesting. He does have a gimmick, and that gimmick is you're constantly in boss rush, basically. You're constantly under pressure. To me, it's Tainted Lost, but with so much more pressure put on. It's interesting. It's very, very fun. It forces you to run around like a headless chicken and dodge the guy and control him, position very well, which is amazing. That is so fun. He doesn't have unique item synergies or anything else unique about him. And his, I'll call it innate active item, it's cool when the ghost isn't there. I don't know, man. I'm just not really a big fan of this character. I think he's cool. It's a great gimmick. It's super fun to toy around with. I think it's definitely A tier. But to me, he's just not as great as a bunch of other cool characters in the game. Very interesting gimmick though, and keeps the tiers, most importantly. I'm not sure you can still kill the guy, the ghost that is. I don't remember. I think, can you erase him or something? No, I don't think that works either. I think he just comes back at the start of next floor, or I think you used to be able to kill him, which took forever, and then he would explode and turn you into the Lost. Now, he can still take damage from enemies, but he pretty much never dies, which is cool, because why play as Holy Mentalist Lost? That's kind of torture. Tainted Jacob is fun. It just takes a lot of practice to play. Alright, I think that's the list. Did I forget anything? Would I like to make corrections? I don't think so. I'm fairly happy with this. I'm glad how it turned out. Maybe I would put Judas into high B tier because he doesn't enable like certain playstyles, but he does enable a lot of builds. You can go for soy milk early on, for example. I mean, least other characters can do that, so I think I'll leave him right there, right where he's at. I'm happy with this. I hope you liked today's video. Let me know about your opinion. Let me know about your favorite character, most importantly, or your favorite characters. Mine are in order from top to bottom. Absolutely, 100% Tainted Blue Baby, Isaac next, and base Apollyon, because Apollyon is based, and I don't care what you say, libraries are the coolest room in the game. Planetariums, get the hell out of here. Who needs planetariums? We had libraries way before you, and they are so much cooler when you play Apollyon. I love that crap. That having been said, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, you know how it is, you know how it goes. I wish you all a good day, a good morning, or a good night, and goodbye.